Women, ladies, girls, we are not threats to each other. I've noticed this narrative in our society, stories, associations, ideas that seem to suggest that as women, we are to be threatened by each other's presence. And I see this kind of message, especially in the media. I think growing up as a girl, as a woman, I am someone who loves music, and I would notice this message a lot, especially within lyrics and songs that I really enjoyed. For example, if you think about that song Don't Ya by the Pussycat Girls, don't ya wish your girlfriend was hot like me? Or even another song I think about is Break Up With Your Girlfriend, I'm Bored by Ariana Grande. And I was listening to, do you remember that girl group named Dream from like the early 2000s? And they have a song called He Loves Me, He Loves You Not. I was listening to that song recently and I was like, oh my gosh, that message is this story or this narrative of women perceiving each other as threats or acting as a threat to each other is also within that song. And so, yeah, I've been noticing this narrative from growing up. I've seen this narrative in music, I've seen it in movies, I've seen it in television shows. Just this idea that as women, we are to perceive each other as threats, that almost like we can't coexist beautifully, harmoniously together. There has to be some form of competition, some form of jealousy, envy. I need to have what you have. We both can't be content as we are. We both can't enjoy from each other and respect and celebrate and appreciate what the other has, and maybe even view what the other has as part of a shared collective of humanity, that it's what we possess or what we have. This like celebratory dance as human beings, that we can celebrate each other's successes, we can enjoy from each other. And yeah, I really see this message of threats. Lately, I had been perceiving this attitude in myself. And I think whenever you perceive attitudes within yourself that you're not proud of, you have to have compassion and curiosity. And I was trying to dig deep within and trying to understand and be curious, where does this conditioning come from? Where does this association, this narrative, this story come from? Like, where is it from? Like, where did I get it from? Because I think that the beliefs and the ideas that we have inside of us, they come from somewhere. They may come from maybe an experience or something or some trauma that happened in your childhood. They may come from the messages in the media. They may come from the way you're socialized and how you've been raised, not just by your parents, but by the people around you, by the way these stories and these messages are the undercurrents for like how we behave. And in schools, in communities and institutions, in our societies, the decisions we make, the words we put forth, those ideas are all the undercurrent of that. And so it can be very nitpicky and finicky to pick up, like, where did I even get this belief from? And I see it for myself. I see that coming from the media and these like subtle messages. Even some of them are not very subtle, to be honest, but they seem to come into you. They seem to be picked up by your brain, by your body, and just brought into you somehow, such that you start believing and acting and behaving in ways that bring forth these messages. So I've come to learn that this interpretation, this way of seeing, this way of viewing other people, namely women, as threats, is a lens. It's a type of gaze. It's a way of seeing. It's a way of like interpreting the world, in this case, in interpreting women, in looking at their behavior from that angle. And it's not to say that that women may not behave in threatening ways. It's not to discount that this is an actual reality. Just as an example, there may be a time where you and another woman are going after the same position, and perhaps that other woman is behaving and acting in ways that isn't very healthy or isn't very helpful. Or you may have a time, like some of those songs talk about, where you do have another woman who is behaving or presenting themselves in ways that does pose as a threat to your relationship. I'm not saying that these things don't happen. I'm not saying that people, specifically women in this case, don't act as threats. I think it's more that when you decide, and I'm not saying that that decision isn't hard. I'm not saying that that decision is easy, but I think when you decide to not see someone as a threat, I think in a way you're choosing to see life from a larger scope, from a larger perspective. You're choosing to see that person from a larger perspective, but you're also choosing to see your own life and your own path from a greater and a deeper angle and a greater lens. For example, like if you're looking at it from that scenario of that job or relationship, you are understanding that what is meant for you will be for you. What is meant for your path and your life will open up to you. What is meant for your life and for your path will stay there for you, will be loyal to you, will exhibit a type of integrity to your path, to your life. For example, when you're looking at your life in a very detailed and nuanced and intricate and expansive and spacious and complex way, you will understand and know that you getting that job or that other person getting that job is actually a very intricate and detailed and meticulous path, a meticulous pronouncement for your life, for their life. It's not random. It's not, oh, because they had better X, Y, and Z. I think it's very fine-tuned. I feel like it's very intricately wired into what was supposed to happen for your life. I think when you employ this kind of understanding, it's like believing in God, a higher power, the universe. It's having that letting go and having that trust that what is meant for your life will be there for your life. And in that sense, you don't have to view people from a very minimalistic, diminished, scarcity mindset, like survival type of mentality or mode, because life is so much bigger, so much greater, and so much grander than that. And there's, in a way, a type of safety and security in that knowledge. I want to put forth a different message, though. I think to perceive each other as threats, I think to perceive anyone as a threat, but I'm speaking especially as women, I think to perceive each other as threats as women is to diminish us, is to diminish our essence as women, as human beings. But again, talking as women, we are beautiful entities. We are full of life and experiences and personality and intricacy and nuance from all of the things that we've been through. We are pioneers, we are visionaries, we are life makers, we are inventors and innovative. And just going back to that life makers, like we literally hold the power of life within us to create on so many different levels. We are nurturers and builders. We are talented. There is so much within us, in our essence, in our spirit, in who we are. There are worlds within us. And that's just one. Like if you're just looking at one entity, one person, there are worlds and worlds and worlds within us. And that melds with other people, with other things in this world, with other ideas. And I think to view somebody as a threat is to diminish all of that explosive amazingness, all of the explosive beauty and vision and creation, all of that creativity, is to whittle it down to something that is wrought in fear and in anxiety and in competition and in, honestly, death. And I think as women, we need to get away from this narrative of viewing each other as threats, whether that's viewing each other as threats to relationships, as threats to jobs, as threats to family life, whatever it might be, wherever women, wherever as women that we are, it's commonplace to view each other as threats. I think we need to get away from that narrative. And I think as women, we also need to stay away from the narrative of, yes, viewing each other as threats, but also becoming a threat. I think it's easy sometimes to fall into the narrative that is created for you. I think it's easy to fall into the narrative that is created for you by society and just like plop yourself down in it and to not think too much about it and to just ride that narrative out because you feel that that's what your role is. But I think that also diminishes your worth as well, because there's so much more to you than fitting inside of a narrative that society has created for you. Not to mention that I think that some of these narratives fulfill deeper agendas within our society. Maybe, for example, if women are viewing each other as threats to, like, say for example, if women see each other as threats in terms of getting like a man or maintaining a man, then it might be very easy for women to put a lot of weight and worth in whatever they feel that men desire. Maybe it might be appearance, physical appearance, looks, that type of thing. And then those industries, for example, like the beauty industry or the fitness industry, may have a lot of people subscribing to them, buying things to maintain what they feel they are in competition for, like whether it's looks, whether it's the like your appearance, your body, your beauty, whatever. There's agendas, behind these things. And I find that whenever there is a group that has been historically marginalized or oppressed in some way, such as women, it will be easy to find agendas and narratives and stories within our society that might serve to, in some way, keep those groups or those communities oppressed. Whether it's consciously understood by that group of people or whether it's more like subconscious. So the long and short of it is, I want to encourage women, girls, ladies, whenever you perceive another woman, another girl as a threat, as a competition in the workplace, when it comes to getting the guy, or being in a romantic relationship, or maybe you're two sisters in a family dynamic and there's this idea of like who can be more like nurturing or more giving, or who's gonna have babies first, or who's gonna get married first, whatever messages or things are out there in the society for women. that is making you feel that someone else, you're in threat, you're in competition with them, I just want to encourage you to just really stop and think about what I've said about whittling, imagining yourself whittled down to this idea of threat, and imagine doing that to someone else. Like the beauty, the expansiveness of who that person is, just whittled down to this like one layer, one dimension that is in fact illusory, like because it's seen from a perspective of fear and anxiety and scarcity and honestly, like death is what I said. I know it sounds really dramatic, but I think, I feel on some level it is kind of a death to like diminish or reduce someone so drastically to this one kind of disillusioned layer. So just some food for thought.